Here's how to do the works cited page. If you already know how to do in-text citation, then that's awesome. You can just skip straight to this. But the two kind of go hand in hand. So this stuff tends to be pretty complicated, and I definitely recommend you get some kind of writing handbook, or you use the website that I'm going to show you, because nobody can be expected to remember all this. But as I said in the other video, the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. But we're going to look at how to do a works cited page, and I'm going to give you the most common types of works that you would probably use and how to format them. So let's talk about a quick update. MLA, which is the Modern Language Association, changes the rules from time to time. So in 2009 they came out with some new rules. So one of them is, for every entry you must determine the medium of publication, and that goes at the very end of the citation, and I'll show you that. Most entries will likely be listed as print or web sources, but other possibilities include film, CD-ROM, or DVD, and we'll look at some examples. We don't underline book titles anymore. Now we use italics. I don't know why. That's just what they said we're doing, so that's what we're doing. So you use italics for larger works, but if it's a smaller work, you use quotation marks, so underlining is gone. And writers are no longer required to provide URLs for web entries. A caution on this: a lot of instructors are used to seeing URLs, so they may be a little confused when it's not there, because not everybody keeps up with MLA as it updates. When in doubt, just ask your instructor. It really can't hurt to put the URL, but you're not required anymore. So I really recommend that you go to this website I've shown you here. There's the link. It's by Purdue University. It's called the Online Writing Lab. And it basically lists every type of source you could ever need to cite. I'm going to show you the common ones, but if you have something that's not in the list that I'm going to give you, you can always go to this website. So where and how. Your works cited page is at the end of your paper on a new page. So if the final paragraph of your paper is in the middle of the page, don't start your works cited page by just dropping down a couple lines. You have to go to the next page, and you put works cited at the top in the center, just like I've done there. This is basically just the beginning of one of my works cited pages that I just lifted. Notice you've got your margin. So what your word processor determines automatically, that's going to be on the left there, but then everything after that is going to be indented. And the reason for this is because it makes the author's name stand out a little better. So basically just make it look like I've shown you there, and that will be correct. So let's talk about a book with one author. And every other type of citation is really going to build on this. So if you get this format right, then everything else is just a slight tweak of this one here. So we're going to go into a ton of detail on this one, and then I'm just going to show you the differences after that. So you start with the author's name, and it's in this format: last name, comma, first name. Then you've got a period. Okay, then you've got the title of the book, and it's in italics. It used to be underlined, now it's in italics. Then you've got a period. Then you have the city of publication. Then you've got a colon. Then you have the name of the publisher, in this case Books for Libraries Press. Then you have a comma, and then you have the year of publication, then a period, and then this is the new part, you have the medium, which in this case was print, and you have another period. So this information can all be found at the beginning of a book, like literally the beginning, the first couple pages of the physical book itself, not the first couple pages of text. Usually where the Library of Congress information is at is where you'll find this. So just follow this format here, and then everything else will build on it. And here's another example below. It's the same thing. You've got the author's name, last, first, title of the book in italics, city of publication, name of publisher, date of publication, medium. So that's the format, and everything else will build on it. Get confusing for everybody. Sorry about that. You've got the second author's name, and it's going to be first, last. So the first author's name is in the format of their last name, and then a comma, and then their first name. And if they used initials, that was the author's decision. Then and then you've got the next author, and that you switch it around. So that's just one of the differences. And then everything else will be the same. Books with 3 or more authors. Same thing, but if you don't want to write out all the authors' names, you can use this thing called et al. And that's Latin for and others. So notice that there's no period after the et, but there is a period after the al. So you're just going to put the author's name, and then a comma, and then et al. And that takes the place of all the other authors that come after that, and that's for 3 or more, so you don't have to bother typing them all out, which is kind of nice if you're doing a big works cited page. And then everything else is the same as the previous example. Okay, a book with a collection of articles on a topic. You're going to run into this one a lot in college. So basically what changes, you've got the author's name, but the title of the article is going to be in quotation marks, and basically it goes right before the book title, because you've got a book and it's on some topic, and that book has a title, but within the book you've got basically a bunch of little subtitles, which is basically what the article names are. So you put that before the name of the book and it goes in quotation marks, so don't forget those. And then everything else stays the same, except if it is a book of articles, you're probably going to have an editor. If you have, and you're going to need to list their names. If you have more than one editor, it's going to be EDS period, which stands for editors. If it's just one editor, it's going to be ED period. But then everything else stays the same as the previous one. So as you see, basically, a book with one author is the foundation, and then everything after that builds on it, and we're just adding and taking away information. But the foundation is that first example I showed you. Okay, a scholarly article from a journal. This may or may not be print. You may or may not actually get the actual physical volume. I mean, you might find it in the library electronically, but at some point it was printed, so we're just going to refer to it in that way. In this sense, you've got the journal title, and that replaces the book title. So everything else is basically the same. You've got the author's name, you've got the title of their article, which is in quotation marks like the one I showed you before, but because it's not in a book, it's in a journal, the journal title takes the place of the book title. And then if all journals are going to have some form of this, they're either going to have a volume number and an issue number, or they may not have an issue number, it may just be a volume number, but whatever they have, you're going to put that there in that format. Then you're going to have the publication date. You may or may not have a month. Different journals do it differently, but you're almost certainly going to have a year. Well, you will certainly have a year, but if you don't have a month, just exclude it. Doesn't matter. If you have the year, use that. Then you're going to have the journal pagination. This is where in the journal that article actually appeared. And you do this because anybody that wants to look it up is going to need to know exactly where in the journal to find it. And then, of course, you've still got the medium. So that's how you do a scholarly article from a journal. And below I've got another example. A.C. Spearing, pretty famous guy, wrote an article called The Journey to Jerusalem, Mandeville, and Hilton. So that was the title of his article. So that's in quotation marks. And it was found in the journal Essays in Medieval Studies. So that's the title of the journal. It was volume 25, and it was published in 2008, and the pages were 1 through 17. That's the basics. Again, like I said, there's a lot of different types of sources that you could use, and they basically all have to be cited a little bit differently. I've given you the common ones. Check out this website if you're using something other than those, and I would recommend checking out this website anyway, because even I have to look at it, and I've written